Perhaps the iris family is the widest family consisting of 1,800 kinds. The areole of this family is quite extensive. It covers almost all land on the planet except for the Arctic and rainforest. Almost irises are perennial grasses, often ephemeroids with thick roots, root tubers, and bulbs. The irises have no competitors due to the incredible diversity of their flowery shapes and colors. Its name was given to it by Hippocrates. From ancient Greek, the iris is translated as a rainbow. There's a beautiful legend to it. Once upon a time, before disappearing, the rainbow shattered to pieces. The wonderful pieces of the rainbow fell on the ground and turned into amazing flowers. Italian Florence got its name by the Romans because at that time the hills around that place had a lot of Florentinic blue flag. However, nowadays you can only see its picture on the Florence emblem and parts of architecture. Indeed, the Florence emblem has a picture of the local flower, Giglio. The filming crew of The Green World found no real flowers while walking through the city streets. But it found them in architecture, captured in stone, metal, and even water. All 20 of the Kazakhstani kinds begin to slowly bloom during the warm spring days. The very first ones to appear from under the rotten last year's grass, just like angels, are the flowers of Iridodictyum calpakowskianum. It happens in the second half of March, and in the early April, the irises alberti cut through the ground with their sword-like leaves. People love them and call them darlings. Status: rare endangered species, included in the Red Book of Kazakhstan along with the Iridodictyum calpakowskium. The most interesting and attractive one of the irises is the Iris alberti, which is endemic to Zalesky Alatau. It is interesting by the fact that it has the largest flowers from purple to dark blue. Sometimes you may see shades of pink and even white flowers. This iris often grows on very damaged area, broken slopes. In fact, it is a signal of disturbed ecosystems. There's a lot of it in Zalesky Alatau in the Kaskilenskaya Gorge, in the Aksai Gorge, and further to the west. This iris is included in the Red Book and is considered as a very interesting species for selection. It is very often used by foreigners for the iris selection purposes, as it is very resistive to the root rot. Not long, the Iris alberti was considered as endemic to Zalesky Alatau. However, later it was found on other ridges of the Tian Shan Mountains. It grows along the soft and rubbly slopes of the foothills and the grass bush communities of the lower mountain belt. Much rarer, it reaches the middle belt. It is found in quite dense groves at the area of up to 100 square meters. Usually, these plants grow from a single outgrown root system, making all flowers look alike.
Размножаются ирисы большинством в природе семенным путем.
In nature, the irises multiply by seeds, yet many of them, such as Iris alberti, very well multiply by root separation. We think the iris of natural flora have better use for greenery as they're easy to keep. Nevertheless, when they planted, they provide a very interesting effect, both by leaves and flowers. Another main part of them is that they are one of the first blooming plants, especially the Junos that start to bloom in March and early April, and April is their peak blooming season. Other irises begin to bloom in April through May, and May is the blooming peak for natural kinds of irises. It was amazing. Our film crew kept feeling all the time as if someone kind was looking at us. And only after we pointed our camera a little higher, we were astonished. There was a giant head carved from the rock by the rain, wind, and sun. We could feel the ancient philosophic calmness that was transferred to the surroundings. Strangely so, but sometime later, we could not see there anything. Seems like the shadows and bright sunlight was an artist at that point. Iris alberti is a gorgeous rhizomatous perennial plant with large bluish-purple flowers. When you first see it, you think you could have planted the garden irises here. Iris is one of the largest genii in the non-tropical country's flora. There must be around 1,000 kinds of them growing in the world. Many of them are endemic. There are lots of irises growing in swamps. For example, the Sogdian iris, Iris halophil, and others. Our Iris alberti, it looks like this. It mostly grows in the foothills.
Вот. Наш ирис Альберта, примерно так он выглядит. Он растет по лесовым, в основном предгорьям, прилавкам.
This unique kind is not different from multiple cultural kinds. The main part of its area is located in the southern part of Zalesky Alatau, amidst the most densely populated area. That causes the groves of this kind to shrink due to the land development, construction of summer houses and country homes. One good thing is that the cattle don't eat it. The iris grass is very sour. It was tested in culture in the 30s of the last century. It multiplies both by seeds and vegetatively, by root cuts. This is how the new cultural sorts get distributed around the world. Iris alberti is protected at the territory of the Almaty Sanctuary and Ili Alatau National Park. It grows very well in culture. It is also used for alpine hills, for front yards, as well as for selection purposes. The narrow-leafed iris does not look like its tall brother. What's in common is the large, tender, light blue flowers. The latest, most interesting iris is the thin-leaved iris that grows on sand. In particular, in the Kapchigai area, it grows on cumulose sands. It also has very interesting flowers, yellowish lilac. It is suitable for green decoration too. Life in the desert is not easy, and it applies certain mark to the leaf shape. They are very narrow, up to 2 millimeters and up to 40 centimeters long, which is good for reducing the evaporation, and it changes the look of the plant. Narrow-leafed iris forms dense sod mats consisting of dense branches of thin roots. The stems are very short, almost hidden by the sod mats. Each stem usually has 2 large flowers that open by the middle of April. Due to its unusual look, the narrow-leafed iris looks very well in the alpine hills. Statice has great interest for science as selection material during the selection of drought-resisting forms and kinds. The picturesque foothills of Jungar Alatau put on their most attractive dress in May. The beautiful blooming bushes, wild flowers have long been surrounding us, making us happy by their beauty, decorating and bringing special attractiveness to our landscapes. Tian Shan cherries, spirea, tulips, geraniums, tear, irises. During the warm and moist spring, each kind is trying to bloom and start the seeds. There's little chance for vegetation during the summer heat. The abundance of sunlight, free winds, pebbly slopes of low hills, poor and sometimes saline soils is good for the leather iris. Its strong leaves withstand the wind blowing by carefully holding the unusual beautiful and unique flower with brown wings. The bright sight will not show you much. You have to look very carefully at this flower to discover all shades of the beauty and elegance of its bud. Interesting iris. This is the leather iris, short flower used for rock hills. It is interesting by its polymorphy. It has flowers both yellow and purple with different shades and forms. Interspecific diversity of flower color is quite common for irises. According to experts, we got a very rare and unique population of leather-like iris. Statice included in the red books in many countries. It is a very valuable kind for selection of sorts resistant to dry and salinized soils. The rare kinds include Juno. Juno is usually the tuberous irises. They are short plants. It is a southern plant. Here we've got the northernmost species, which is the Juno kuchakiwesi, that reaches this area. Deeper south there's Juno blue and Juno orchid. All 3 of these Junos are included in the Red Book. Of course, they are interesting for selection purposes, mostly for rocky hills. At this moment, we have all 3 of these kinds in the collection of our botanical garden. We are making a collection of all natural kinds of irises. Right now, we have several samples of species of Iris alberti from different locations where it grows. In total, our collection currently has 9 kinds of natural iris. In early May, on mountain foothills, you can see irises and peony growing nearby each other. They make very colorful compositions along with the tulips that bloom later. Hybrid peony, family of peony. Almost endemic kind with reducing aerial. It can be found in Tarbagatay, Jungar Alatau, also in the adjacent part of eastern Hilaki land. It is included in the Red Book of Kazakhstan. It grows on open and rocky steppe slopes in the grass and bushes on foothills from the northern belt of the mountains. The plant is up to 40 centimeters high. It has large, bright yellow flowers. It grows very well in culture. The seedlings start to bloom on the third year. They develop very well in the flower for at least 20 years. In wilderness, it is protected in sanctuaries and national parks of Kazakhstan. If you will ever have a need in standard blue color, you should go to the foothills of Zaylisky Alatau and nearby steppes to search for Ixiolurian tatarsium. It is Kazakhstan's only representative of the Amaryllis family. It is a common species for absinthial feathergrass steppe, deserts, and dry mountain slopes. They are found in all areas of the country except for the northernmost area. By its morphologic structure and development rhythm, the Ixiolurian is typical ephemeroid, same as the tulip. It has deeply sitting bulb, the stem up to 50 centimeters tall, linear leaves and brightly blue flowers up to 4 centimeters in diameter. It blooms in April and May. The plant multiplies very well both by seeds and vegetatively using small sphere-like bulbs. Children located on short creeping stems near the mother bulb. Ixiolurian is used as a decorative plant. Pure blue color can beautify any rocky hill and may look great in the bright spring flower beds. According to Irina Kokoreva, the population of this kind has dramatically dropped in the area of Almaty, Talgar, and Kaskilen due to the increasing anthropogenic pressure and requires protection. Since the main range of wildflower colors in our video is in blue and pink tones, the wild onions will add their shades to it. These plants are interesting not only due to the color of the bud, but its shape. This is a perfect sphere. They bloom in May and early June. After blooming, they set the seeds. While the decorative value of this plant does not change in its phonological stage. Their favorite places to grow are the beds of the mountain rivers and creeks. They also grow very well on rocky slopes. More than 10 Kazakhstan kinds of onions are included in the Red Book. These fuss-free flowers may decorate the alpine hills. They make excellent border beds. The onions also look very well in front gardens. The Amaryllis family represents interest in breeding the multiple cultural sorts. The common problem for almost all wildflowers is their amazing beauty. The tulips, irises, crocuses, desert candles, peony, delphiniums, and many others get mercilessly torn off for bouquets, and the fading flowers get thrown away at the nearest bus station without even reaching home. Both their aerial and population are dropping dramatically, and if we'll use the famous phrase, "Beauty will save the world," then after such attitudes, there will be no one to save the world.